Hi, it's Joey Reynolds and my monkey pox. You know, pox in Latin is PAX. It means peace. And the Catholic Church is going back to Latin masses, you know. I don't know what's happening around your neighborhood, or as Al Roker says, in your neck of the woods. You've been saying that for years. What neck? My neck is sagging. No, the Catholic Church now has a separation of some priests who want to say the Mass in Latin. They have to practice it. They have to learn it again, go to Nebraska. That's the only place in this country where they're teaching it, I think. And it's allowed in certain dioceses. You know, the bishops allow it in certain places. I happen to like it because I'm old, and the priest faces the altar and doesn't look at me picking my nose while he's talking. That's why. And you know, when the Latin Mass started years ago, it was traditional. Everything was in Latin except the sermon. But someone recently stole a tabernacle. You know, the tabernacle, like the Torah, is the Word of God on the in the temple. The tabernacle is the house of Jesus in the communion in the Catholic Church. And there's one church that just got robbed of the temple, over 100-year-old temple. That particular temple is worth $1 million, maybe more, even more. It's the house of God. You know, it's Jesus in the host in that place. So in fact, Jesus got robbed. You know, the church was Jesus napped, and there's an Amber Alert, I'm sure, in heaven. I mean, how can you steal how do you steal the creator of the religion? How do you steal Jesus? How crazy are you? You remember the story of the good thief and the other one? He said, "I'll see you in heaven," which was the good thief, and the bad thief is going to see him in another place. Well, that tabernacle is, this is like the Ark of the Covenant, which the Jews had. You've seen in motion pictures in modern times. The covenant was in Indiana Jones, which was a precious Jewish tradition to carry the covenant, and it had in it the Word of God, the Ten Commandments. Well, somebody ran off with that in the day, but now someone's running off with Jesus in the temple, in that thing. I mean, you get the point. Is that someone is really being that's way over the top. And then they took a saint that was also guarding that particular tabernacle, so to speak. I mean, the saint that was a statue next to the tabernacle. This is the Catholic Church that got robbed from. I think it was where is it from? Somewhere in Long Island. But they to steal God is that's another elevation, isn't it? Yeah, I don't want to listen. I don't want to talk to someone in the Philippines. Get me God, you know. This is not how you get mad at something. If you don't like something, you don't take it and melt it down and go home with the gold that housed the Christian belief of Jesus, who is God. That's you're stepping in a very dangerous place. You know, I mean, you talk about having that on the media. The media isn't going to cover that. The media covers a lot of stuff. The media tries to cover all the sins. They're making you crazy because it's just full of fear. Everybody, you turn the TV on. That's why a lot of people don't want to watch it. They want to stream or scream. You want to go somewhere else. The kids don't even want to watch it. But that's generational. But you know, these people like myself who've grown up with network television, and we've seen all of the shows and I've been on them too, some of them. But you know, as your friendly neighborhood talk show host, I never answered phones. I hated it because I don't want to argue with people. If I did that, I would have stayed married. And I also did not like the idea of asking people what they think when they just found out what they think from someone else on the station earlier in the day. You know, they listen to Bill O'Reilly and Rush Limbaugh, and then they call me. Don't call me. I don't want to hear it. I stopped taking phone calls. So I was on 5 hours every night, sometimes reduced to 4. And I was on all night long, never answering phone calls. I hated it. Except celebrities sometimes. You know, Les Paul would call me very often because he didn't feel like getting sober enough to drive in. He was inventing a hearing aid. Never got to that part, you know. Speaking of that, see what happens is when you get older, you have all of a sudden selective hearing anyway. When you have kids, but when you get older, you have bad hearing. And so what Les Paul did was he created a little thing that you put in your ear, and you would hear only the person talking, not all the background noise, which is common with hearing aids and why people hate them. He and Amar Bose, who gave you the illusion with the wave, which is it sounds like it's stereo, the wave radio, but it's not stereo. It's an illusion, and it's created with a hearing device. I'm just making it simple. You know, I don't want to give you all the technical stuff. You'll feel like you went to the Consumer Electronics Show. Les Paul and Amar Bose were coming up with this hearing aid that was spectacular. So when you would not hear any surface noise, no background noise, you would not have to read lips. You would hear just the exact conversation like you're listening now. That's what they created. That's what they were doing. But they never got to do it. Amar Bose left us. Les Paul left us. You know, and we have a loss of hearing now because they left us. I mean, welcome to jamming 2 Q-tips in your ear so you can hear the family. That's how I get away from not hearing them. So Les Paul, one day we were watching the Army-Navy game, and there was a bag of we were at a bar, and there was free nuts on the bar, and Les took his hearing aid off and put it down. It looked a little size like that, and he was reaching for the nuts, and he got some cashews, and he almost ate his hearing aid. I said, you're going to lose your nuts. And your hearing. So this is Pride Month. Speaking of that, and this is the time, if you're gay, that nobody's going to really say anything. But I don't think anybody's going to say anything anymore anyway, because nobody's really interested in anyone else. That's the real reason. Nobody cares, because we all have heard it all too many times, and nothing's going to really scare us, except maybe when you're 50 or 60 years old and you have a brand new baby. That's scary. And moms who should stay at home and raise the kids, they hate hearing this conversation. I have this with my daughters. The reason you have a job is so you can afford gas in the car and food. Now, we didn't used to do that. When we had an earlier time in history where the mom would stay home with the kids until they were a certain age and then send them out to work. That's how you got the double income and the double cars in the driveway. But you didn't get it from mommy going out to work, although there are women who are highly qualified for great jobs. But what I don't like is a soccer mom who becomes a soccer player. If you're a soccer mom, that means you're raising the kids and stay with them all day. I know how hard it is. I have my grandchildren with me right now, and it's very difficult. When you're kid sitting, you've got to do what they want to do, not what you want to do, or you have to make suggestions, and they don't like any of them anyway. I'm going to take them on the Everglades tomorrow and maybe leave them. But they saw me yesterday get in trouble with the neighbor. I had chapped lips because I was, unfortunately, I got caught. I was sucking the gas out of the lawnmower next door. And siphoning, they call it. And, when you siphon a neighbor or you steal Jesus, these are two things that you don't want to do in life. I don't know which commandment is the worst, but thou shalt not kill is pretty much number one with a bullet, according to Billboard magazine. So you got to be careful with what you're doing right now, because everything is being measured by everybody. Everybody's trying to find fault with everybody else because they don't want to blame themselves. They say that if you point a finger at someone, there's 3 pointing back at yourself. If you don't have arthritis. So there's a loss of communication here in our society now, where we have left the kids, and what they did is they really screwed us. They went to Wharton School of Economy and Harvard and Yale, and we graduated them, paid for all their educations wherever they couldn't get a student loan, and supported them in their dorm life, in their sex lives, and everything else that went along with it. And they became lawyers. They're like Morgan and Morgan. These are 2 guys that they say there's only one Morgan and Morgan, but actually there's more than one. It's a franchise. It's like H&R Block. There's not H&R Block or Morgan. There's hundreds of them, like the Elvis impersonators, which incidentally right now is taking a dramatic turn because the people who own the franchise on the Elvis-based weddings are now sending out warnings to those who are using Elvis in their weddings in Vegas without paying the license fee for the Elvis lookalike. Now, Elvis, when he was alive, he lived at the Hilton Hotel, and he was. I used to stay in his room, not with him, but you know, when I go to the Consumer Electronics Show, it was at the Hilton, and they redid his room because he used to shoot the televisions when he didn't like what he saw on the TV. He took his gun out, and that's what he did between shows, you know. He says, "Oh, I don't like All in the Family." Pop. I said, gone. And you know, I like to do that now. I feel that way now, but you got to be careful with anything you say about guns. All of a sudden, you know, you be better to shoot your mouth off than to complain about it or to praise it. One or the other. I keep getting notices from people that want me to stop shooting off my mouth, and I said, wait a minute, whoa, don't use that expression. I do have a plastic collection, though. I mean, this is the water gun for kids to play. See, kids play with this stuff, and the video games are always violent. You know, somebody's dying, getting killed, getting captured, being badgered. I mean, I don't know. You wonder where they learned bullying. It probably starts with watching TV, but you know, this all started with that Grand Auto Theft game that used to be on. They show you how to steal a car with the electronics. I lived in Harlem. If someone stole a car in front of my house, it was usually returned because that's where we kept stolen cars. It's a boomerang effect. Speaking of that, I got to get out of here now. My time is up. I don't want anybody to think that they have to listen to everything I say, but there is a contract with my family. It's a franchise, you know. The Man Who Talked Too Much. It's a Reynolds rap.